Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse CLAYFACE. This is the Rebirth version of CLAYFACE, which, you know, it mostly looks like all the other versions of CLAYFACE because he just looks like a pile of crap. So, that's neither here nor there. Really, it is like your quintessential CLAYFACE, I would say, especially if you're collecting this McFarlane line. Now, you might be wondering, is there a whole lot to talk about for a figure that is basically just a pile of mud? Well, surprisingly, there's more to talk about than I would have guessed. So, let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Now, this guy stands just about... You know what, I'm just going to say 8.5 inches because his head doesn't really stick up higher than his back, and it's about 8.5 inches to like right here, not counting the little spikes, and that's going to make him pretty close to, we'll call it 22 centimeters. So he's got some size on him. He's not as huge as he could be. In the comics, he's all different sizes, so I think that's fine. He's usually big. Sometimes he's huge, sometimes he's not that big. So I don't have a Batman handy, but I have the next best thing, and so... There you go, size-wise. I think that's a good enough size. For a collection, you don't want him too big for your shelf. I think he's got some nice size to be impressive, but not too big, so that's fine. That's what she said. So, this guy, well, let's do a question of the day. Which Batman villain is your favorite, but you cannot pick Joker? For me, I am quite fond of CLAYFACE. But if I had to go with one other than Joker, I would probably go with Victor Freeze. I like that one a lot. Okay, so let's talk about this guy. Pretty basic figure. You'd think it'd be easy to just knock out of the park. Sculpt work, you can basically do whatever you want. Paint work doesn't take much. Oh man, were it so easy, to quote one of my favorite video games. Man, the sculpt is okay, it's fine. I don't really have any issues with the sculpt except for one thing, which we'll get to. He's got the lumpy mushiness. He looks like a pile of mashed potatoes or a pile of crap. He's got the faces in him. I don't personally care for that, but I get it, and it's perfectly reasonable, so that's fine. It's not my cup of tea, but that's okay. You know, they're all over the place, and that's fine. I would just rather he look like clay or mud or whatever, but he doesn't. So in that sense, the sculpt is fine. The overall look is fine, sculpt-wise. I don't really take any issue with that. What I take issue with is when you open his teeth are all the way in there, but his gums, like his actual mouth, his gums are huge. His mouth is all the way open down here to his lip and his jaw. And there's no instance of CLAYFACE that I've ever seen where he looks like this unless... It's the version where he's got 2 rows of teeth, one here and then one on the outside. Every version I've ever seen of CLAYFACE has his teeth right there where they're supposed to be on his lip. Even when his jaw is huge like this, the teeth are all the way out here, not in there. And it's very off-putting. It just looks ridiculous. It looks terrible in my opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel about it, but as a reviewer, it's simply not accurate to any version I've ever seen, and I'm fairly familiar with the character. You guys can let me know if there is a particular version or if this is just Todd's take. I'm guessing it's that. Luckily, the jaw can just go like that and you don't have to see it, but I would like, because most of the time he's got his mouth open, he's laughing or talking or roaring or something like that, so I would much rather it not look ridiculous like that. Not my cup of tea, but if you like it, that's okay. So that's the biggest issue with the sculpt. Otherwise, it's fine. I think it captures the look perfectly well, so I have no real issue with that. Paint-wise, though, it's all over the place. He's not consistently colored at all. His jaw is a different color from his head. His entire torso has a very heavy black wash on darker brown plastic. Then basically the rest of him, it looks like he's wearing a vest. It's very noticeable from the back. Not good at all. We see some spots of orange, which is weird. I don't know where that came from. There's some here. There's a weird swirl right here. There's an orange swirl. It doesn't really match anything. Like, there's nothing else painted like that. I have some more spots back here that are orange. I don't get it. Is it... He's not supposed to be orange anyway, so where is this orange paint coming from? It's just haphazardly splotched onto him. Like, why couldn't it just be tan with a brown wash? Or brown with a darker brown wash, or even a black wash. Or make it darker with a dry brush. That would be better, probably. But instead they did this where he's just totally inconsistently colored and it takes away from the figure. Granted, the sculpt is there, it's completely textured, so you could easily repaint this guy to make him look gorgeous. But as it is, it just doesn't look like they tried on like the most basic of paint jobs. It doesn't get easier than this, honestly. Like, that's about as easy a paint job as you could get, and it's just very bad. You can see there's black spots all over his torso. Like, not intentional black spots, just bad paint application. So, QC on a figure made of mud, technically it's not mud, I guess, is terrible. It shouldn't be, because it doesn't require any oversight to get it right. So aesthetically speaking, I'll be generous and give it a 7. The sculpt is good enough. I hate the mouth, and the paint / coloration is nowhere near as good as it should be for something so basic. Now, as far as accessories go, I'm pretty sure they are doing what some British people might say is taking the piss. They are doing something so ridiculous. Firstly, this display stand is different than the others because the DC is over here rather than down here. You know what? We need a comparison. Let me grab another one. Notice the difference? It's not quite the same. What's up with that? Is that intentional? Is that an accident? I don't know what's going on. I don't think I've ever seen another one look like that. I don't have any other ones handy right now, but this is weird. But that's not even what I'm talking about. Watch. Just look at the... See the feet there? Look at the feet on this guy. If there was ever a figure that didn't need a display stand, it's this guy. His feet are giant freaking display stands. He's flat as can be. Watch this. Oh my gosh, you know how much more balance this guy's gonna have now? At least 0.05% more balance. Like, at least that. It could be as much as 0.06. Look at that. Because you wouldn't want just a giant flat surface for a foot to touch the table. What are we, peasants? We have plastic to make that happen. Nonsense. And if that wasn't enough nonsense, look at the card for this guy. Holy crap, it's not even the I swear to God, that's the render. I swear that is the render for the figure and not even the figure. They have it in liquid. They have it lit like crazy. The eyes are photoshopped to hell. His hand looks bloody almost. It's a totally different color. Like, come on, man. The card looks infinitely better than the figure again. Thanks, Etrigan, for ruining my day just thinking about you. It's terrible. What the heck? The collector cards that are worth nothing are so much better looking than the figures that are the thing we're paying for. Accessories, -100. No accessory score for you. It's so far negative, you get -100. You would think that'd be too much to recover from. It probably isn't, because that wouldn't serve the purpose of the review. But you get my point. Alright, let's talk about the articulation on this pile of crap. I can say pile of crap without it even meaning anything, because... Okay, you guys get it. So the head, watch this. They didn't sculpt it so that you could pose the head. It almost feels like there's a gimmick in there. Like, does something make his head move? I don't think so, but it hang on. I can't get it all. Hey, it's Fluffy. Hey, Fluff. Hi, bud. Anyway, get out of the light, Fluff. Go back here. So the head doesn't really articulate very well. It's on some kind of ball peg, it seems, but you can't really rotate it. It just snaps back. You get the tiniest little bit of posing. Leaning? No. Up and down? No. You get nothing. Fluff, you are taking up way too much light. So the head just doesn't articulate other than the mouth, which is nicely articulated. I'll give them that, but the mouth is goofy looking. Okay, for the shoulders. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. You're not going to. There's just a giant ball peg. They didn't put the cap in there this time, so we just have the big ball peg. It sticks in like right about here, about an inch in. But watch this. It's not strong enough to hold the arms up. So if you pose the arms, you would want them up like that so that it looks good. No, they hang down so that it looks like his vest is poofing up over his shoulders. There's just no attention or care put into these. It rotates around fine, like not counting where this is in the way. It holds them at least like that. It can't hold the weight of the arm at all, but it holds the rotation, at least for now, so that's okay. There's no bicep swivel. That's built into the single jointed elbow. So get this. The elbow is straight right now. It doesn't straighten out any more than that. Alright? And now we're going to bend it. I'm going to show you the maximum range. It's that. So it goes from that to that. Is that like 6 degrees? It's like 6 degrees. I don't know if it's exactly 6 degrees. He's got virtually no range, no extra bend in the elbow, and that's where you get your rotation out of. Can we get more bend if we rotate first? Nope. So he's got virtually no range in his elbow to pose him. I mean, you're gonna get basic poses, but what the heck? It's a guy made out of mud. Like, cut some articulation in there. It's gonna be hidden. Make it freaking work. What the heck? What? Why? And it's like, don't say budget, because they spent the money to cut the joint. Cut it properly. Make it work. It doesn't work. Alright, let's look at the wrist. It's the same on this side, by the way. It's not like it's just the one arm. Both arms are like that. Different sculpts on either side. Alright, let's look at the wrists. They rotate. So, they like to rotate the elbow instead, but they do rotate. Oh, gosh. We'll do it this way. Alright, so you get the rotation. You can see the sculpted wrist joint already in the hand, even though it doesn't quite match. So how much range do we get out of that? It goes out pretty well, but obviously it looks ridiculous sticking out. It's huge. You don't need the joint to be that huge. Make the joint the same size, same thickness as the hand. It doesn't have to be that gigantic. It works better on the outside, but you can see the ratcheting. But see, that's okay, but that should have been way smaller. It's oversized, the joint part. So yeah, you get some range out of the wrist. It's not good looking, but it works. So the wrist is okay. Let's check the torso. Now, as best as I can tell, there's one ball peg at the top and one ball peg at the bottom. This is a floating piece, and this is a soft piece. And it's just the whole top part moving as one piece. Like, the whole thing is just one pivot. I mean, there's a ball up here and a ball down here, but it's just one stick. There's not one here and here, and then here and here. It's just one big one. Which works nicely. So he can lean to both sides, no problem. He leans back really well. This is super soft. This is super soft. You can hide the joint pretty well. He leans back nicely. I like that. He can lean forward a little bit finally. Not a ton though, but he can. So they did a good job with that. Oh, we have to do a cake rating, and since this guy technically has 2 sets of cake, sort of, he gets a 5 out of 10. There's no real definition, but he does get the cake rating that the McFarlane figures are now getting. Also, notice the difference in the coloring here to here. Glossy, not glossy. This looks incredibly similar to all-natural almond butter. You guys should look into that. Tasty stuff. Okay, so let's talk about the hips. Do they go forward? Yeah, the diaper is super soft, so he can raise his leg forward. Not like you would really want to, because he's got little stumpy legs, but you could. They do go all the way back nicely too, so that's good. Let's see about going out to the side. They do. He's got full-on splits. I wouldn't recommend it because it's pretty disturbing to look at, but that's the type of hip joint we have. They do work. They're not super loose. They're better than most of the hips, so kudos on that. Thigh swivel is in there and it works pretty well. Good points there. The knee is like the elbow. You get virtually no range. You do get a swivel in there, which you don't need, but holy crap, why did they cut the knee like that? If ever there was an easy design to not cut the knee like that, it was this. Why does he have a giant knee pad? That should be one piece. Why is it like that? It shouldn't be like that. Just make it a ball. It technically is. Like, because this has the rotation in it, let me show you from the behind. I'm not gonna be able to show you. Show you from the side. See how there's basically a sphere right there where the knee's connected to the thigh? Just don't put this here. Sculpt this part down a little bit farther and don't put the knee pad on there. So if his thigh was just sculpted down to where that round part is and this knee pad wasn't on there, it would look better and function just as well. But instead we got a giant knee pad. So if you bend his knees, he looks weird. Granted, it's CLAYFACE, so it doesn't really matter, but still, these are the types of things that should be considered rather than just cutting joints into sculpts and not worrying about how they affect things. So that's it for the articulation. His ankles don't do anything. Some of it works okay, some of it's bad. But it's CLAYFACE, so does it matter? I don't know. This is such an anomaly, this figure. It should have been so much better given that it was just literally a pile of crap and you can't really screw that up. Not literally, virtually. But they did. The articulation, like the looseness here, no good. The head not working. Why can't the head work? Just round, make the thing round. Cut this round. Cut the face round around the back. Cut the socket round. Ball peg. Done. Not whatever this is. I can't even figure out, like, why is it so convoluted? It almost feels like there's a gimmick, but nothing does anything, and there's no buttons. It doesn't do anything. Alright, articulation on this guy, 6 out of 10. Some of it works, no, the elbows are terrible, the knees are weird, the head doesn't work. 4 out of 10. The wrists aren't good, the shoulders are too loose. Okay, final verdict on this release. It's gonna be okay. If you just do it like this, stick it on the shelf, hey, it looks like CLAYFACE. It's not the right color scheme because it's different colors. It's fine. If you repaint it, you'll get a whole lot more appreciation out of it, but that's obviously not something I could tell you to do as part of a review. It's another McFarlane release where they spent all the money on everything they needed. It was just poorly executed. From the engineering to the sculpt, that's a matter of opinion, sort of. It's not really accurate, but engineering, paint job, quality control, it was all spent, but it just wasn't done properly. So this line is baffling to me. It's mud colored. It's just brown, and with a wash or a dry brush you would have been fine. But somehow they screwed up the paint job and the articulation. A two-tone face, legs that look like nut butter, and this that looks like some kind of chocolate that hasn't been tempered properly. Yes, I'm doing a lot of food references, like glossy, not glossy, different color, not glossy, different color again, glossy, different color, orange smears. What is happening on this figure? So just like Etrigan, I'm going to give this guy right here, 9 out of 10. This guy, I'm going to give a 4 out of 10. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough because they already spent the money and it should have been better. Okay, I'm done. Let me know how you guys feel about the figure in the comment section below. I will pin a comment if it's interesting or funny or something. Who knows what's going to make me want to pin a comment, but I do that now, so if you feel like participating in the chat, you should. Not a live chat, but a chat nonetheless. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. In the meantime, keep collecting.